All right, welcome everyone. This is Our Travel Experiences. I'm your host, Kyle Rasmussen. And today I have with me Tom and Kate, the Salty Passports. How are you guys today?
We're good.
Doing
We're
awesome.
good.
Doing awesome. How about yourself?
Doing well. We were just talking before we jumped on here. I'm missing the warm weather right now, being up here in Washington. It's definitely changed, and we're getting the icy winter coming. But
Yep. I don't want to let you down. It did rain today in San Diego, but it's gone. So, next time you visit, sunshine.
oh my gosh, can't believe it rained. What did you guys do?
We went like 35 on the freeway. That's typically what happens. Everybody forgets how to drive and just.
Yeah, that's funny. That's like an everyday occurrence up here in Washington. But
Oh, man.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
yeah. Well, so I'm really excited to talk about your travel experiences. This one is really interesting to me because you guys are all about affordable luxury travel. So I'm really interested to hear how you guys kind of got into this world and how you're able to travel the way that you do.
Yeah, we're excited. I mean, you can start us off, Katie. I mean, how it came about, this journey?
Yeah, give us a little background.
So, this idea of Salty Passports started on our balcony one day. And we did have a previous account, but it was kind of just like touching base on photos and just places that we've been. We didn't really have like a certain like calling, I guess, for it. So this one we decided, let's share with everybody how we can make travel happen using credit cards and points and all that.
Yeah, really for the haters, if you will. The last one, I mean, the messages we'd be getting, and we get a few thousand followers, which is nice, but most of the comments were 4 hearts and like the same color. So we're like, okay, maybe somebody wants to see where we went to the last 10 years of our lives. They maybe want to get something out of this. And then, there may have been a drink or two we had that day on the balcony, but still, this came to us like, you know what? Why don't we make this new thing, this new Instagram? Let's make it all about us, be super transparent, how much we actually spend when we use a credit card. We kind of looked at each other, smiled, and we're like, let's do it. And then we created it slowly and kind of surprised. It really, a few months ago kind of took off. We gained a lot of our traction and then started to have kind of larger accounts reach out to us. So super excited.
Yeah, very cool. How long ago did you start this new account?
9 months, 10.
But almost, I think we're coming up on a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Feels like last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have gained quite the following there, it looks like. I know I've enjoyed your content so far. I think I've been following for maybe like a couple months.
Okay.
So I'm excited to see more too.
Yeah.
So how did you decide to focus on, travel credit cards and using points and stuff like that specifically?
So she pointed to me right away. Sure, I'll take this one. So I should say, we like a bunch of photos on Instagram, and I think she uses Pinterest a lot more than I do. Kind of like aspirational travel, and honestly, saw people even younger than us at the time that were just going to like the Maldives and going domestically places, going to the Caribbean, going to Europe. And I'm like, it says they only spent $250 and they went on like business class and all this stuff. So that kind of got like the sort of brain cells firing a little bit quicker. And then realized that a lot of the places we wanted to go to were super unaffordable. Like, I think even before COVID inflation, many of these trips that we've been on that are probably about $15,000, $18,000 cash, we could never have afforded. So, started looking into credit cards. My mom actually recommended the Capital One Venture X. That's the first card that I owned. And kind of funny story. We've had some not so great redemptions that we thought were great at the time. And like, for example, we went to Disneyland, and I thought it was the greatest thing because I surprised Katie. We booked a night at the hotel for $600 and 2 Disneyland tickets, and I was like, great, that was 105,000 points or 100,000 points. It's a great way to spend $1,000 instead of thinking like, you know what, I could have stretched that. Like now, if I would have looked at it, I would have said, dang, we could have stretched those points into 2 Qatar Q Suite tickets or domestic. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
but yeah, to kind of circle and kind of close the loop on that question, seeing people younger than us and even, way older than us being able to travel the world and just taking a picture of their credit card in the airport and saying like, look where I'm going, look where I'm sitting. And so wanted to see how that was interesting, because truthfully, credit cards is like a different language. It's kind of like insurance, where it's like, oh, I don't really care. But social media converted us.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the Capital One Venture X is the one that you guys recommend to people?
Yeah. So I had the Capital One initially, ended up swapping that out for the Venture X. And, to be transparent, there's a lot of fantastic cards out there. We like to stack. So we have the Hilton American, or Hilton Amex Surpass. We can get that a little bit. But for travel, for airlines, and lounges too, Capital One Venture, at least in our eyes, is the best. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of haters that, Amex Platinum, IHG, or Amex Platinum and Chase, excuse me. But for a card that nets us $5 a year and gives us a guaranteed travel credit, I've only had to pay the fee before getting the Venture X one time in 9 years. Just the nicest people at Capital One. And I get it, people have different experiences, but plain and simple, airlines, for us, we're not going to open a United, an American, a Southwest, all these 19 different credit cards or air mile credit. But Capital One, they have transfer partners. So you can do a sign-up bonus. You can get 100,000 points or 75 to 100,000 points. And then you can transfer those points to the airline that Capital One partners with. And it's a little bit more convoluted. And that's why I think a lot of people have a more difficult time understanding initially. But theoretically, you can get a discount and transfer, say, 50,000 Capital One miles or 100,000 for both of us, transfer it to a program like British Airways, and use British Airways to book, a trip on Cathay Pacific first class or Qatar Q Suite business class to the Maldives. And that's what we did. So for that reason, just, easy to understand. It gives you the protection. You physically make $5 a year just owning the card because of all the offsets. That's why we think it's the best card. Now, just to quickly speak to the Amex Platinum, awesome card. I believe we're going to own it sooner rather than later. We're just getting started. I mean, we have two we use, the Amex, the Hilton Surpass, and the Venture X. But as far as the Capital One Venture X, it's just easier to rack up points for us. And honestly, we use it to pay our rent. So we pay a tiny fee each month. We know there's that new Built credit card, but we think it's the best for all those reasons. And then, hey, we get an extra 60,000 miles a year just paying rent on the Capital One. So for us, it's like be dumb not to use it.
Yeah, definitely. That's smart. I mean, obviously, you want to be smart with a credit card and make sure you're paying it off and that sort of thing. But like you said, if you pay your rent on the credit card, I mean, you get that extra points just from paying that, even though you might, you have the money that you can pay the rent later.
And as long as you keep your utilization, which is, say you have a $10,000 limit, don't try to rack up more than $3,300 a month in charges. Your credit's going to keep rising, most likely. So, it's been higher at times than we wanted. The Maldives, we spent money after the free part, but good choice for us, I'd say.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into the Maldives in a minute here, but really quick, I just got back from a trip a couple weeks ago to Morocco, and I was with a group, and we were all talking about travel credit cards actually, and we're talking about the Venture X, and I think I remember one of the people saying that you sometimes have to book directly through Capital One, but it sounds like you transfer the points and go directly through the airline. Is that correct?
That's correct. So there's really a couple ways to do it, and so this is kind of the reason people don't always. Sorry, there's a bar across the street from us.
Uh,
Kind of the reason people don't always love Chase or redemption at Chase or American Express. Are you get 10x the points on Venture X when you book through their travel portal, but there's a catch, which is maybe the hotel or the remote island you want to go to is not on that. So Capital One uses Hopper. They have some sort of licensing agreement with them where they essentially, their version of Expedia, which for those who don't know, Hopper is fantastic. Great deals, similar to Expedia, but the limiting factor is that, there might be 100 hotels in a country you want to go to. Only maybe 40 might show up on through the Capital One portal. But
mhm.
if you're able to book it through there, there's perks like if the price moves within a day or I think a day and a half, they'll give you the credit, they'll give you the money back. You have purchase protection. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, that's like probably the one only disadvantage. But as far as how we book the other trips, yeah. So there's these things called transfer bonuses, and it's a little convoluted, a little confusing, but just know that Capital One, there's this great tool called the Upgraded Points Transfer Tool. If you want to type that in on Google or save it for later, literally these guys, they do a fantastic job of highlighting all the transfer bonuses, regardless of the card you have. So for us, it was finding what transfer bonuses we could have that aligned with the dates we could go to, the Maldives or the Caribbean or wherever we wanted to go at the time. So yes, 10x the reward. So if we went to St. Lucia in, I think it was, yes, November. November over Thanksgiving, and the family wasn't too thrilled, but it's a tradition now, so we're going to do it again this year.
Yeah, there you go.
And 10x the points, we got 30,000 points, which is equal to $300 if you were in a dire need for money, or just 30,000 more Capital One points through that. But yeah, the easiest way I'd say is, finding the flight, making sure it's a partner that you can transfer miles to, and then booking it in that window. And so for us, we have used a lot of points from booking travel. That being said, some trips, there's a cash component and not all points. I think that's important to note.
Mhm.
But Capital One, I don't know. I think, yeah, you can use the portal if they don't have the hotel you're looking for, or the flight you're looking for. Yeah, that's kind of a letdown. So, know that going in. But for us, if we're going to pay the cash price and knowing we can at least get 2x the points, it's worth it. I think American Express, they give you 5 points, but similarly, you have to book it through the portal or with the airline itself. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, sorry, it's I gave you a way longer answer probably than you wanted, but truthfully, that's it. You have to find out, hey, can I transfer my points? Can I book it with cash, or do I have to be a little creative?
Yeah, yeah. I think it sounds like just taking the time to research a little bit and see, what's going to be the most effective and efficient is going to get you the most out of it.
Absolutely. And I forget the page. It might be Max Miles Points, or someone else. They have an actual spreadsheet that I think it used to be free. Now it's a couple bucks. And if you don't want to do the math, type in how many points you'd have to use, what the cash price is, and then it gives you kind of a ratio where your money or points are best spent. So for Katie and I, we typically, I think we say we want 3 times the value or higher. And when we went to the Maldives, it was like 14 times the value. So it was insane.
Wow.
Saved so much money.
Wow. Yeah. So tell me about that trip. How did that take place? And I mean, how much did you guys save with that?
Oh, you go ahead.
So the Maldives trip was originally planned in before COVID. And so unfortunately it had to get canceled. It did get pushed back a few years. And so we just started saving and looking at different miles and different hotels and everything like that. So Tom actually did a lot of the planning. For the travel wise and everything like that, because he had something planned. So
Oh, what was that he had planned?
he decided to propose when we were there on our trip. So that was
wow.
super exciting. And yeah, he planned that whole thing. I had not a lot of like say in the travel, but in what we did there, he kind of asked my opinion for.
And so in I think it was September of 2019, we planned it. What got us started there is we had over 1 million Hilton points. I used to travel domestically, gosh, I think almost 500,000 miles. So yeah, it was a ton, and it's great when people are like, oh, traveling's amazing. It is. It's a lot more fun when you're traveling for leisure. And it's leaving the country. I mean, it just feels different. But we had a redemption with Hilton at the Waldorf when it just opened up in 2020. Like Katie said, it was postponed several times due to COVID. But I think at the time it was like 840,000 points. Since then, Hilton has gone up, just like Marriott, unfortunately, too, in the price per points to redeem a night at like an aspirational hotel or villa. But that's kind of how that got started. Was I said, hey, I saw this video online. It's not exactly what I want, but in my mind, I want to propose to her on a sandbank. And my mom's like, you are crazy. You live in San Diego. There's a billion beautiful places outside.
Yeah.
Like, but that's not what I want. I want it to be perfect for her. And then we started looking in the Maldives, and even some friends were sending us like, oh, there's terrorism. And we're like, you know what? There's terrorism everywhere. And we're going to be on a remote island if we're able to make this trip affordable. And so all we had booked in 2020 was just the Waldorf, and unfortunately, and we were big Hilton. You know, we love Hilton. We like the other hotel brands too, but they've always treated me right. Upgraded to presidential suites for free nights, things like that. But funny story, when the trip was booked in 2019, we had I think we saved $5,000 for a hotel for 4 nights, and part of that was because it was called Milado, Milaidhoo, and at the time it was like top 5 hotels in the Maldives, and I kind of convinced Katie it was iconic, and in reality it's just because they own their private sandbank where I wanted to propose on. But that hotel was like 5,500, and then it went up to almost 9,000 when we went this year. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so we had some time to budget. We're very blessed that we've been able to save and have had jobs through COVID. There's stressors for everybody, and so it's not to brag or anything like that. And I think a lot of people live a lot more lavish lifestyles than we do. But so that's kind of what got the trip started. And then as far as rebooking it in 2020, this year, we got dive certified last year, and we were taking a class. We were studying like 3 days, like a crash course to get scuba certified. And I get an alert on my phone at midnight, and it's like Waldorf opened up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Katie, can we do this? And she's like, let's just book it. I'm like, all right, can we make it happen? She's like, I don't know, let's try. So we found 10 nights, then we canceled them. And she's like, why don't we make it over your birthday? And I'm like, sure. I mean, yeah, I'm thinking in my mind proposal only and not even give a crap about my birthday. But she's like, it'll be so cool. And I was like, you're right, that'll be huge. But anyway, so we canceled it. I thought we'd never been able to book the resort because in 2020, I missed booking it by literally 2 minutes. Someone got it on Flyer Talk, posted their screenshot like, yeah, I booked 10 nights. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was too slow.
Took my 10 nights.
Took my 10 nights, man. I'm able to get engaged. My life is ruined. No. But we spent 4 nights in our April trip to the Maldives at Milado. Awesome place. One of those places where it's worth spending the money. And for us, we had 3 years to save. So, that made it more affordable. And then I actually got in contact with some UK travel agents that gave us like an extra $3,000 off the trip, free seaplane rides as well, which were about $600 each. And then as far as how else, we got to get there now. So I think we were at her mom's house one day, and I got a call from Qatar saying, "You tried to book your Q suites through Alaska Air Miles on the first day that we partnered with Alaska. It went through. Just pay $389, and you have seats." And I'm like, "Holy crap!" So I went outside. I'm like, "Later, guys. Love you, but this is important." And they're like, "Who's
Yeah.
talking to? Like the Middle East?" Like, and so long story short, we say the flight was about a little over 13,600 just to get to the Maldives, and that was we paid 389 because we used
Jeez.
Alaska miles just for that, man. That's literally what
Mhm.
we used. And that got us to Sri Lanka. It was 200,000 or 400,000 miles to go to the Maldives because it's way more expensive to fly in there. So we had the time of our lives. We slept 10 hours on the plane, got drinks and food. It was awesome. And then we landed in Sri Lanka, went through customs, got a cheap $100 flight from Sri Lanka to the Maldives, and add 200 to that, we spent $600. Absolutely worth it because we saved 13,000 off that flight, and then we saved on the resort at the Hilton. It would have been about, I think, $54,000 for the villa, the upgrade, and free breakfast every day, which is about an $80 charge. And then Emirates on the way home was $36,000, and we got that for about $6,000. So, yeah. So I think we did a post. I think Katie did this reel. It was really awesome. It performed pretty well too. But I think to put it all together, yeah, there's a cash component, but we saved, I think, just south of $80,000 on this trip.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It was, yeah.
And that's just by, using our credit cards on like everyday things like rent and groceries and gas and things that you need to use the cards for. And that's how we earn the points and all the miles, just by everyday expenses.
And switching up the airport, to clarify, is what saved us a lot of money though. Coming back, I'm like, I want to do this Emirates first class because we're going to Maldives, and I don't know how to say it. I never will. But I had it in my mind. I told Katie it was business class so that when she walked on the plane, we had the whole first class to ourselves. It was pretty wild experience. And Dom Perignon, and oh man, it was fantastic. We arrived at the airport from the Maldives covered in sweat because it's for those that don't know, it's almost on the equator, so you're going to be sweating the whole time you're there. But I'm in board shorts and flip flops, and you're in, I think, similar stuff.
Yeah, workout clothes.
And we got a couple looks. I mean, they looked at our first class ticket, and then the eye roll, like, oh man, these guys have it. So they probably followed us after that too. Like, if they can do it, we can do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we let's see. So we saved about 80 grand cash. We did spend a fair amount, but the savings for us, a monumental experience at the time. Didn't know if we ever gonna do it again, grow this channel, getting the credit cards, and yeah, I mean the Hilton saved us a ton. Working with the UK travel agent saved us some money too, and then the points. So I mean, we maybe spent math at this hour.
I know.
Maybe 10 grand on the. No, we didn't spend. Yeah, maybe 10 grand, but for an almost $100,000 trip where we're treated amazingly, it
definitely worth it.
Absolutely worth it. And looking at our expenses throughout the year, rent and everything, 10 grand that you saved over 3 years, that's not that much money. If it's between two people, that's like 1,500 savings.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know if you have any follow-up questions for that, but it's just, I don't know. I can't think about the Maldives.
Yeah, I mean that's amazing. You got, the entire works. You got, pampered and everything for a fraction of what it actually costs. So I mean, that's a great hack, great perk there. To live like a king for nothing.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to switch up those airports. I know people be afraid of customs and what they see online or the news, and that's never going away. At least I don't know, maybe it is, but we for us in San Diego, it's not a big airport. LA is huge, and
Yeah.
but even as of late, San Diego's sometimes had cheaper flights. But you need to go to a hub to hub model typically for these big flight redemptions. So like Emirates is you know, Dubai. It's a 15-hour flight from California. So you know, was it a little bit inconvenient that we had to go to Sri Lanka? Yeah, but maybe we spent 4 hours in Sri Lanka, technically visited there by getting our passport stamped, and then, you know, continued on in the Maldives. We didn't even bother us in the slightest. I mean, and we are actually kind of doing that on this upcoming trip too. So just all about making it possible with you set a budget and try to stick to it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I can kind of attest to that. Not to that scale, hopefully one day, but I mean, on this trip that I just went on, I mean, part of the reason why I went to Iceland is because with my airline points, it cost me $20 to fly from Seattle to Reykjavik.
Oh my
And so I
God.
was like, yeah, I'll do that. And then I just got a cheap flight to London and then Madrid and then finally to Morocco. And same thing on the way back. It kind of sucked because it took 30 hours to get home. I flew from London to San Diego actually, and then up to Seattle, which doesn't make sense because that's a longer trip. But you know, it was the same thing. It was like I think $80 with the points, and so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Like it's worth it. You know, a few extra hours on a plane is worth saving, you know, a few $100s, or maybe even more for a flight home. So,
Wow.
you know, yeah, I think it just from the sounds of it, it just seems like it takes a little bit of work, a little bit of effort. Obviously, being smart with budgeting, like you said, and just kind of sticking to what you're working towards. But you can make whatever trip you want happen.
You really can. You know, you definitely got to take the step and decide on a couple credit cards. We recommend find your hotel card. I mean, and then find a, you know, travel like for airline miles credit card. So
Mhm.
Capital One. That being said, there's websites that help. Yeah, there's a subscription. We've used um, what's the recent one that we had some success with? PointsMe. It's you know, venture funded, cool way where you type in, hey, um, my name's Kyle. This credit card I have. This is the loyalty points. I have 100,000, you know, miles on Capital One. Where can I go? And it actually gives you trips, and you can put in your date, etc. But for that, we found it you kind of needed to have like 5 or 6 credit cards to find that trip. So for us, you know, I mean, Katie's probably done, she says she hasn't done much. She has done a lot of work for it. I mean, we've spent so much time, like, we could probably know the hubs of like almost every airline now, where
Yeah.
to travel. And so for us, it's like we can do Google Flights, and then we can see which mileage makes the most sense. And if there's a $3,000 flight from, say, Seattle to Miami for you, you can get that transferring Capital One mile to Etihad and using Etihad to book United. But United is not a part of Capital One. So think about that. 25,000 miles, that's a $3,000 trip you got there, or $3,000 flight. So
Mhm.
just by doing a little extra work. Oh.
Yeah, yeah, that's huge. That's huge. I like it. So, you know, looking at your channel too, it looks like you guys have really expanded this a lot. I know you have like uh, clothing links here, and you got different cash back and insurance and all sorts of stuff on here. So, how did that all kind of come about?
Um, so for the clothing, it typically wasn't something to make money off of. Um, it really came about because when we were traveling to the places that we've traveled, like the Caribbean, and more specifically to the Bahamas, looking at gear and like souvenirs, like shirts and everything to take home, they didn't really have a ton of options. So we actually just decided to hire a graphic designer, and create our own images and use different websites and stuff to um, have the shirts, the logos, and the colors and the designs. So that's how our was came about.
We sometimes, like, we went to Curacao and Aruba, all paid for using Hilton points in the past, and then airline miles, of course, too. But we bought a book on Papamontau just to read up on it, and try to immerse ourselves in the language. And then for the Bahamas, I think Katie had the idea, like, we should get some shirts, and we typed in, like, it's better in the Bahamas, and we're like, why are there, like, almost no shirts, or it's super generic? We're at the point where we kind of know what, at least for me, I know what shirts fit, what brands fit, and what don't. So I'd rather pay $4 more and get something that fits. And there was nothing. And then, I think we're working with a graphic designer on the website, and then worked with a print shop in Atlanta. And then we started getting some people reaching out. A couple people in the Bahamas were like, where did you get them? And we're like, well, we made them, but we can link it. And then we're like, how do we link this? And then we got the link tree, and that's where that kind of started.
Huh. Interesting. Okay.
Completely.
Have you seen growth with that?
Not so much on the clothing, only a few probably orders.
Yeah.
Not going to move the needle, but that's not where we set that up. But
Mhm.
for using Linktree for credit cards, we've had a couple people that have, or quite a few people that have used our sign-up bonuses. I think one for Capital One, a few for Hilton this year. And for those that don't know, if you recommend a credit card, you can go to Google, sign up that way. That's fine. But if someone's helping you out and you want to support them, not saying you should or you have to. For me, and maybe for us, we feel like it's better to give the person some credit. So it actually gives you some miles. So for us, it's I think it's about 100,000 miles for Hilton, which is pretty nice. And then Capital One, it's actually a bit more lucrative, because if you're in a crunch or have to redeem some money, it's kind of nice to have. So that we've seen, like, the credit cards being, we've had some people use it. For us, it's still kind of being transparent and helping. It's not so much getting a business out of it. Maybe down the road, sure. But right now it's, we're in this because someone showed this to us, so we want to show this to more people. But yeah, you're right. Travel insurance, people have signed up for that. And it's really just recommending a good travel insurance, because even before COVID, it's good to have that. If you break your foot, or I for some reason can attest to this, I injure my foot on every trip. I have no idea why, what's wrong.
He gets it.
Specifically your foot?
Yeah. Oh no, that's a good one.
I think he stepped on glass one time. He's cut it. I twisted my ankle one time.
Stung by a stingray.
Yeah. I don't know. It's the feet. So.
But hey, the travel insurance.
It's all worth that.
It's all worth that. But expanding. Katie loves this brand called Pink Lily. So why don't you talk about that?
So I just kind of became an ambassador for them to promote, because it's a company that I love, and we only really promote stuff. No, we only promote stuff that we're passionate for, and this is something that I love. I love the background behind it, the history. So yeah, it's a woman-owned business. The CEO, her mom had breast cancer and is a survivor of breast cancer, so that's how they became Pink Lily. They hold different fundraisers and everything like that. So absolutely just love the brand and love the clothing. So I like to support that, and also I wear it a lot when we travel, because it's just super comfortable clothing. I love it.
Wow, that's really cool. It's fun to see all the stuff you got going on, and just that you guys are trying to share, everything with your followers, and share, what's worked really well for you, what's maybe not worked so well too.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I love to see, giving back to everyone else there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And kind of on that note too, I guess, what what mistakes have you seen from people, and what advice would you have for travelers who are looking to get these points to use these things, or just kind of in general?
Tom, you want to take that?
Oh, so many come to mind, but I'll just do a couple. I think people are. I'm not going to say I know because everybody's different. But there, we've even some of like our closest friends still haven't made that push to get a credit card, and they're like, "How's the Maldives? How's the Caribbean? How was this? How was Europe or France? How was this?" And we're like, "It was amazing. By the way, we paid like $300 on this trip.
Yeah.
In the Maldives, everything was like almost free." So for us, like negative and things not to do, I'd say sign up for that credit card if you do believe that there's value, because there will come a time where there's a trip. Maybe it's in a year, maybe two, maybe it's 4 months away, and maybe the cash price is going to be too much. But you can transfer miles, and if you don't have those miles, you probably can't make that trip possible. And so, I'd say definitely, make the push, reach out to us, reach out to people that there's people that know a lot more than we do about it. So super transparent. But happy to share what worked well for us. And then mistakes, really, really weigh out if you're going to use the points or not. We spent $1,000 on one day at Disneyland. At the time, we're like, "This is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lounge, hotel, and we get a cookie." And looking back, it's just like
those points could have been used so differently.
We had a trip to Denver a couple years ago because like, "Oh, what island do you want to go to this year?" And she's like, "Why don't we change it up? Let's go to a winter place." And I'm like, "That sounds like a great idea." So I'm like, "Well, we have all these Hilton points. Let's stay at the Hilton Denver City Center." We blew like 400,000 points, had to pay for parking. It just wasn't a great hotel. We didn't do much research. And we went to Breckenridge, and we're like, "Wow, we should have stayed here." That was a case where, man, there were $100. I think the hotel was like $104 a night for a 4-star hotel, which was still to this day is a fantastic rate. We should have just paid that $900 for that trip, and then kept those points. But we didn't make the kind of plunge. We didn't think we'd be in the Maldives two years later. We'd be in. When we were just chatting earlier today with you. Katie and I were starting to talk about all the trips we've been on. We've been on like 17 countries in like 4 years, and that's just leveraging the credit cards. So yeah, the mistake, I'd say, it looks great to wipe off that credit card bill, but like right now for us, we have 460-ish thousand Capital One miles, and I think we just booked a trip for next year to Bora Bora, but
oh wow,
I think we still have about another 400,000 Hilton miles. We're looking to sign up for more credit cards pretty soon here. But yeah, just look it out. I mean, like for 450,000 Capital One miles, that's $4,500 if you want, or maybe $3,800 Amazon. Sounds cool, but what if we told you you could fund a trip to the Maldives twice with that money, or you could go to Bora Bora and the Seychelles, or to Iceland, or to New Zealand? That's all feasible with that. So yeah, the biggest mistake is not using points for luxury travel and using them, or coach is totally fine. Not using it for coach or luxury, but using it to pay off a bill, because if it's that tight of money, you probably shouldn't be planning that trip already. So,
yeah, I would definitely agree with that. From my experience with my credit cards, it doesn't make sense, to use the miles if you're going, for a short trip that's not too far away. You're gonna have to use a lot of miles for not very much that you're getting out of it. Yeah. But like you're saying, you could go to the Maldives for basically nothing if you play it right. So looking at those bigger trips, that's where this really is going to come into play and be a big use for you.
That also go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was just going to say, for those that like Airbnbs and VRBOs, one of the benefits of the Capital One Venture X is They straight up just give you a $300 credit towards any travel trip you want, and you can actually mark the trip or call in and say, like, my $300 off this for statement credit. You could theoretically find a cheaper Airbnb. So like this trip coming up to the Bahamas, where it's 9 nights, I believe. We're doing 4 nights in one island, and 5 nights in Bimini. And the first 4 nights we're paying through a hotel. We booked it with Capital One through their portal, but there were Airbnbs for like $119, and you could have had 3 out of the 4 nights pretty much covered. So I mean, something to consider is that, you know, there's some perks, and just kind of do your research. But I mean, it's tough, right? Because no one wants to spend 8 hours booking a trip. It's not fun. But now we're at the point where we can book that trip in an hour or 30 minutes and not look back.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. So, do you guys have any exciting trips coming up, and do you have any plans to expand this?
Yeah, we have a trip coming up in a few weeks. We're going to the Bahamas again, outside islands there. And Tom surprised me for my 30th birthday last month. And we're going scuba diving with hammerhead sharks. So,
Oh God.
yeah, so we have a couple things booked there, and yeah.
That and Bora Bora next year, and that's something where we just use the points. They became available. There's this website. It's escaping me right now, but it alerts you for free when a hotel room opens up, and so we use that. And Katie's an amazing sleeper. I suck at sleeping, so I'm up late. If I get an alert, I'm like, I'm gonna use the points, and if she likes it in the morning, we'll keep it. If not, we'll find somewhere else to go. Book that for next August just to have it. But for this trip coming up at the Bahamas, it's 4 nights in Abaco, 5 nights in Bimini for the hammerhead diving. And the 5 nights at Bimini, it's about, now looking at the price point, it's like $3,300 for the Hilton there. It's free for us with points. We only used 120,000 points, and then we had 3 free night certificates, which you can use in light of COVID any darn day of the week, which is fantastic. So,
wow.
And then the first 4 nights we did the hotel at I'm forgetting the name, some resort in Abaco, and it's I think like $1,200. So, but we get 10 times the points back, and you know, for us, it's all about leveraging when the right time is. But for the flights out there, it's a little bit chaotic, I will admit. We're taking a positioning flight from we have some Southwest miles. We're going from San Diego to, I believe it's Phoenix. And then Phoenix, we got a good deal on business class for her birthday. So we're going there, Phoenix to Miami, then to Abaco. Then the way back, a few days ago, we actually booked a return flight. We're taking a seaplane from Bimini back to Florida, spending a night or day and a half there. We might do Topgolf or something fun. Whatever Katie wants to do, it's her trip. I'm just there I'm a fly on the wall. I'll just get tan and summer. But but just to highlight, I mean, you know, this trip coming up, a little bit of cash, a lot of miles, it's hotel miles. We didn't get to use any air miles other than Southwest because it just didn't align, and that's okay. You can't, if you find the dates. Like for us, it was she had only a few days she could take off for work. I work remotely, so I get a little bit more time off, so it's easier for me. So when we had the dates, like, great, those are finite. We can't change those. Flying out on a Wednesday at 11 at night, and we're coming back at Sunday night a week and a half later. So just use those points and miles, and it doesn't have to be 100% covered for free. I don't think that's realistic.
No.
Yeah. But even, 80% off, 90% off, that's still a pretty great deal.
That's huge.
Oh yeah. And it's actually made a couple of these reels. And for those that are struggling growing their page, just know that we're still going through that. It comes and goes in waves. We truthfully dropped the hashtag because they were hurting us. I don't know why. Haven't been able to pinpoint it.
Yeah,
not great at getting back to you with a question. So we had a couple reels that did, I think, 3 to 500,000 views, and the reach was fantastic. And those were just about redemptions. Of course, we used our very cool content from the Emirates first class flight because that was just amazing. Yeah. But it started to get the attention of kind of bigger time travelers. So one person we interacted with, Travel Like Tommy, which is actually the nickname that my friends call me. A lot of people, yeah, just threw that in there. I don't know why. I was attracted. I'm like, wow, this guy goes by Tommy and he travels. Let's connect. His page blew up from like 3K to 100K. And we were just messaging back and forth for a while and got on a call just to see how he uses this, learned how he turned this into a business. And it kind of got the tires kicking, if that's the right term for us. So for expansion, right, we've started to work, I guess I could say not work yet, but have discussions with kind of pages that have a lot more followers, where they work with pages like us, and they do meetups. They also do leverage their social media to actually promote their pages, and then the third final part is turn it into a business. And so someone like Travel Like Tommy, I think for him it's he works with companies and he does all their travel planning. It's fantastic. For us, we don't know exactly what our road is right now, just being fully honest. But this page came one day in the afternoon, so I'd be surprised if 3 of us are having this talk in a year and it's completely different.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how the next year goes for you, especially after you've shown more successes with using these points in your strategy for getting these deals. I'm sure people are going to continue to see that and continue to want to learn more.
It's funny you said that, because I think maybe at 6:22 someone reached out on Instagram and said, I have all these points, I really want to take my family on first class somewhere in the world, can you help me? I'm like, yes, we got this awesome interview, but we'll get back to you soon. And then one person reached out, I think after a reel we did last week, and said, hey, your Emirates looks like amazing, your Emirates first class trip, I would love to take my 2 parents there. And so for us, we're like, heck yeah, we're going to help you. We're not going to try to charge you some fee that leads to that later on. Great, we love to turn it into a business, but right now it's just really convincing people that you can leverage so much with credit. It's so much. And I think a lot of people think it's fake. With social media, it's fake. But
a lot of people are scared about credit cards too. So it's just telling people, and like, you can do this and you don't have to worry about, your credit score and all that kind of stuff. So I know that's, people are super hesitant on getting so many credit cards. But you don't have to have a ton. Like, we only have 2 that we really use.
And there's something that we haven't done a lot is last minute hacks. For those that want a great way to do Emirates, and there's other great airlines, and I think some will say Singapore is better, or Lufthansa, for example. Lufthansa and Emirates, just picking those 2. You can get a deal on a business class seat and upgrade to first class when you get to the airport. So there's not a great chance you and your significant other or friend or family member will be upgraded with you, but that's on the table. And a lot of these open up last minute. So like, we have Alaska Miles still, which it's not as impressive as like these newer programs or Capital One, Amex, but just be on the lookout for these deals, and don't be afraid to book a hotel and then get the flight last minute, or vice versa. I would say, for whatever reason, it's a lot easier to book a flight last minute than a hotel. Hotels seem to own that monopoly, even Airbnbs, and just skyrocket the rate. So
interesting.
Just our perspective. I mean, we're 2 little fish, but we're growing in this pond.
Yeah, well, honestly, you guys are doing something right. So
what?
Well, Tom and Kate, I really appreciate this conversation. Appreciate you holding off messaging that person back to do this. Before we hop off here, is there anything else that you want to share with listeners?
Tom, do you have anything?
Putting the spotlight on me. Okay. Yes, I would say, just to end on this, don't feel like you have to sign up for a credit card because someone shows you the way. If you think the value's there, then take the leap. But reach out to a lot of people. You'll be surprised at how many people will actually respond for free and not expect something in return. But you know what? You don't have to be a millionaire to live like a millionaire. That's maybe not the best advice from, I have a family member that's an accountant, but take the plunge. We just found out the San Diego airport's getting a new, really cool Aspire, like 11,000 square foot lounge. So we're going to try to sign up for either Chase or Amex to get that, just to have it, because our little airport's finally expanding. So we're looking forward to direct flights to Asia from San Diego, as opposed to like bigger airports. So yeah, take the chance, sign up for credit cards, and hop on podcasts. I'd say do this. Hop on podcasts.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sorry, really quick, with the San Diego, are they putting that into Terminal 2?
I believe so. I want to say it's where the Priority Pass lounge is right now. But yeah, it's normally San Diego's kind of afterthought after LA or New York. I mean, I guess other cities too, but it's one of 7 cities where they're putting a lounge. And so for us, we're like, yeah. I think initially they're going to let the Priority Pass folks get in. So for those that are looking for like a $99 credit card, this Capital Adventure, or there's the Hilton Amex Surpass, or there's a Marriott one as well. So if you get a card for $100 annual fee, they get you Priority Pass and at least gives you $100 in value. I'd say take the plunge, because that sign-up bonus is going to be nice, and you don't get that the second year. So take advantage of that, because credit cards, they seem to keep going up in annual fees. So you open them sooner. There's things called retention bonuses. They'll literally give you a phone number to call, and they can say, hey, I'm Kyle. I'm getting rid of this card because I'm not using it. And they'll say, Kyle, we'll waive your fee, or we'll give you no fee for 2 years. So sign up, I guess.
Yeah, little hacks like that. And feel free, reach out to us if you guys have any questions, or we're here.
We're here.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it. And I mean, from what I've seen from your link tree and from your Instagram, you guys have a lot of great advice. I mean, you just shared so many great tips and hacks that people can use. I don't think it really takes that much work. It just takes a little bit, and you can get these great trips. So again, I really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys taking the time. And really quick, where can people find you?
Yeah. So Salty Passports on Instagram. So it's Salty, SALTY _ passports, PASSPORTS. Is someone I think got the original name. So, but hey, we're still cool. Instagram is
That's a great name.
Thank you. Our old name was We're in the Air, and then with COVID, we changed it because we were not in the air at all. We were on the ground. So that's where people can find us. And yeah, thank you for hosting us. This was awesome.
Yeah, no, it was so nice to talk to you and get this opportunity.
We'll see you in Pacific Beach.
Yeah, I'm ready to go anytime. I'll be a fly on the wall on any trip that you guys are going on.
My dad wants to be in our luggage for this Bahamas trip, so we'll have to get another piece for you too.
Yeah, yep, sounds like a good plan to me. Well, Tom and Kate, thanks again, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the night, and I'll see you somewhere around the world soon.
Sounds great. Thank you, Kyle. Take care.
Bye. Hey everybody, Kyle here. If you enjoyed today's show and want more, you can always check out every episode on Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, and now Amazon Music as well. Just search for Our Travel Experiences on any of those platforms and it will pop up. You can also find everything all in one place on my website, ourtravelexp.com. And if you want to see my travel pictures as well as travel pictures from guests on the show, you can check them out on Instagram. The page is called Our Travel Experiences Podcast. And if you want to share your own pictures on the Instagram page or be a guest on the podcast, you can message me via that Instagram page or email me at ourtravelexperiences@outlook.com. I would love to see your pictures and hear about your travel experiences, so please send them my way. And if that isn't enough for you, make sure to check out my weekly YouTube show, From Around the World Fridays. Every Friday, I'm taking 5 to 10 minutes to answer questions from listeners, share some souvenirs that I bought over the years, share my postcards over the years that I've accumulated, or share videos and pictures from one particular city or country that I visited, and so much more. So check it out, guys. You won't be disappointed. And make sure you go subscribe to that as well. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you somewhere around the world soon.